Hi guys, welcome to Wild Animal Sanctuary. My name is Austin. So the sanctuary is the oldest and largest carnivore sanctuary in the entire world. Right now, backyards out here in Keenesburg, Colorado. We're sitting on about 1,100 acres out here, 800 of which has habitats. And the building we're in right now is called the Carnivore Nutrition Center, or the CNC. We'll kind of say that throughout the tour today. It's kind of heart of animal care. Everything kind of pumps in through here. I guess quick intro about me. Yeah, I'm born and raised in Colorado. I've been working the sanctuary almost 8 years now, 8 years this summer. My title is Guest Services Director, which kind of the nonprofit world, everyone that's staff member here, we do like kind of different things. So I work a lot with the public, but I do a lot of educational stuff, our tour stuff. Email sanctuary emailing me. I might do a tour on the walkway. I might come to school with a presentation. I work with people coming in. Basically, we're nonprofit, so everyone that comes in is a donor, they're a supporter. So we work really closely with people because keep in mind, everything you guys see today, donations is how we make everything possible here in the sanctuary. You guys hear me okay? Hopefully I mentioned, let me know if not, but yeah, so again, we're in the CNC Carnivore Nutrition Center. We care for over 400 large carnivores at this facility alone, 750 across the board with our other facilities. But again, this building really is the heart of all the animal care stuff we do at the sanctuary. We're going to see a lot more of the process through here. That's nothing scary, but a lot of raw meat, like the grocery store, that kind of stuff. A lot of the ins and outs of kind of the hard work that goes into feeding so many animals. But of course, we specialize in rescuing captive bred large carnivores. So the name of the game is teeth. And that means meat. We have a lot of meat and different kinds of stuff, but also berries and fruits and veggies. But we're going to talk. We have staff in here. We have volunteers here. We're going to talk to them. Kind of backing up a little bit. Wonderful, very fun gray barrels right here. Now, when we get deliveries, they come on these huge trucks, big box trucks. And Walmart actually donates the bulk of our food, believe it or not. We go through about 100,000 pounds of food a week out here. That's a lot of food. A little bit less when the bears are asleep, but they're starting to wake up again. So 80 to 100,000 pounds of food a week. And that's coming on these big old barrels. I take up a lot of food. We have 3 different guys that travel to Walmarts and Sam's Clubs all over Colorado, and they're getting that Walmart portions for us. It's all donated. So it's pretty amazing. It's USDA certified, and it has to be in date. So honestly, you can reach in there and probably cook it first, but you guys can eat the same food that's coming in as well. It's all really good food, but it's got to come in, right? So we go pick it up. It comes here. There's an entire process. We'll see here in a minute. Our volunteers go through, get it all, ready. Out again, more deliveries. That's every day. That's why a huge operation. Not to mention we do our own grinding and blending. I think the grinding today it's a huge machine, but it's pretty loud. We grind our own meat out here, make a meat block for the animals. So we have a lot of freezers back there, and we might lose connection if we go back there. But I'll show you guys kind of what we call the sorting table. Our volunteers are working on right now. We get kind of an idea. We'll talk about that first. I know it's not quite career based, but a lot of our volunteers became staff. So I know if there's questions coming in the chat or whatever, feel free to shout them out, and I'll do my best to answer them. But that's kind of a tour of the CNC. I'm gonna follow along. Let's see down. We've got this nice great grading. So we go through a lot of meat juice and water as a cleaning. So stuff has to come down. Got to be able to clean that out all the time. So what we're doing here, I'm going to move this up right now. This is all donated stuff from Walmart. It's also packaged ground beef, chicken, you name it. And then we're bringing it all in. Then we basically got these all different kinds of knives here, cutting them open, opening them up, and then sorting them in these barrels back here. So we do chicken or bone in or bone out. We have a lot of different dietary restrictions out here at the sanctuary. Or if it's just regular ground meat, we keep that going. So this is a pretty ingenious system that actually a friend of the sanctuary created. These are really heavy barrels. So they wrap the chain around and basically almost conveyor belt kind of style, or pulley system, lift it up and spill it on the table. So they just kind of move. They have tons of these barrels they're going through all the time. So there's another freezer over there after they just went. It'd be awesome to talk to these volunteers actually, because one of them's been here like 10 years and one's been here like 2 weeks. So we go through a lot of volunteers. If you guys are ever interested in that, I might have to turn down the radio a little bit. It's kind of, I don't know if you can hear some top 40 right now if you want to. It's probably a little loud. Amanda. Oh yeah, sure. Yeah. Now you talk fast. There's a lot to go over. I'll try to go slow. Yeah. You do that. If I do it again, yeah, it worked out. Well, yeah, welcome guys. So yeah, come over here. So basically, we unload something that someone in the CNC would be working on. Once the barrel's been emptied out, and you have to put trash. Oh, you're okay. Sorry, a lot of lids stuff. It's okay. You got it. Basically, once we have an empty barrel, we take trash out all the time. We got to clean out those barrels to get them ready for another delivery. We have hundreds and hundreds of barrels all over our property. So yeah, we got to have our own plumbing system in here as well. So a big part of working in this side of things is you put on an apron and then you literally just hose it out and let them dry. You do that with lids, the whole lid system. More lids over there. Rebecca's favorite are the lids. You shot it up, and then more barrels. So I know, when people talk about working in animal care, I once talked to one of our staff members, and they said a lot of people think it's pulling the wagon with a bucket of meat, and that's it. But the beautiful thing about us having so much land is that we have so many animals. It's a huge operation. So there's a whole lot of background stuff. I was talking to Rebecca about this, but there's so much stuff that people don't always realize. There's a lot of work that goes into that way before we get the food ever touches the animal's mouth. There's so much work that goes into it. Hey, D, want to go on over? Excellent question for us. So this is D here. This is one of our long-term volunteers. You want to maybe talk a little bit about yourself, how you found the sanctuary, and what you're doing today?
Okay, I found this sanctuary probably been like 15 or 16 years ago. And my husband found out because there was a youth program on TV, and he said, we should go check them out. It sounds like it might be something that we would like to financially contribute to. And it's a lot smaller than. So we came out and we did that. And then some years later, I was working in the insurance field, and my manager was talking about a book called The Dream Manager, Following Your Dream. My dream was never to work in insurance. Okay.
Sure.
So the idea was, what would you really like to do? Well, mine was to do something to help animals. So trying to think of all these different kinds of things. What could I do? And so my husband said he was really afraid I was going to go work at bring home all the kitties and puppies and stuff. So he's like, why don't you go volunteer at the wild animal sanctuary? Because he knew we would. Right. So I started doing that. It's been about 11 and a half years. I thought I was going to do it for 6 months, but here I am later. Yeah, I absolutely the best thing I have ever done whole life. And I retired from the workaday insurance world, whatever, about 5.5 years ago. And so then I just stepped up my hours and started doing more. So this is, I'm out here usually 2 to 3 times a week.
I was going to say, so our volunteer program, I know we're talking about careers today, but again, we actually hire a lot from our volunteer pool. So it's something to think about. I think the gentleman we talked to earlier, we'll try and get him again. He was a volunteer originally as well, but we require 16 hours a month, so not bad at all. We do require a 6-month minimum commitment. There's so much training that goes into all this, as you can see, probably just from a little bit you've seen so far. But yeah, we have a lot of, we call them lifers. We have a lot of volunteers that stay for a long, long time. So I told you 16 hours a month is the minimum. I think annually last year, Deep was at like 850 hours around there, give or take.
I think it was more than that. I know
it probably was.
My goal was to hit 1,000.
Yeah. It's pretty amazing.
So
it's amazing, and I know that's you can do it too, which is something I think a lot of us can. But so that's awesome. So we'll talk a little bit about how this process works, what you're doing here, because this is the kind of stuff that goes into literally the meat and potatoes working with large carnivores.
So we're kind of doing an early stage of preparing the food for the cats. So we are actually sorting cat packages today is what we call it. Cat packages for the big cats that are all are obligate carnivores. And so we're going through these and we're opening the packages, and then we have the different barrels up here and they're sorted by different types. So we have like red meat, and we have red roast, we have pork and pork roast, and we have poultry, and then we have whole birds. And so that's what we're just going to make sure it goes into the right barrels. And then eventually these will go in to be ground, and they'll combine it. They have certain proportions that they do, and it will make the food blocks. And the food blocks will get frozen. It's just part of the whole process, but this is what we're doing.
And you guys just get the meat from grocery stores, from what I understand, for the most
Yeah.
part?
I don't know if you want to answer that or whatever. but
Yeah, so it's all from Walmart. Pretty
Yeah,
easy.
pretty much. So yeah, large corporate sponsors, so it's really nice that they do that. And so they contributed and it helps, them as well too. So because we actually send people out from the sanctuary, I mean, that's one of the paying jobs around here.
Yeah.
Is that we have drivers that go around and I forget how many stores there are.
We're close to 100 now.
Oh,
Sam's Clubs and
they
Walmart's.
changed what I say about
I
that.
think, well, I think it's over 70, 75. but
Yeah,
I don't know
okay,
about, I
cool.
think it's.
And
yeah,
they
I don't know
go
exactly.
pick it up in our refrigerated trucks.
You can kind of see one, I don't even see one Bitsy way out there. That's one of the trucks, that white truck out there. Kind of hard to see. It's that box truck. That's one of them. There's no, and in those grocery stores like Sam's Club and stuff, they can still give food banks too, which is awesome. It's called automated inventory system. So how my silly brain processes it in kind of simple terms is they have a lot of excess stuff that they literally don't have room for. It's in date, USDA certified. They literally don't have room for it. It's that automated inventory process. So they have an excess amount of stuff all the time. So it's going to an amazing cause. Now I'm gonna ask you the last Ray as well. So we got seasoned volunteer and newer volunteer here. This is Ray. Now, what was something you wish 11 and a half years ago, Dee, knew going into volunteering that you know now?
Great question.
I wish I had known about it earlier,
Oh, really?
so I could have started doing it earlier.
Oh, wow.
I wish I had been doing it for 20 years or something.
Yeah.
Instead of 11 years. And I think also just knowing that there's really lots of different work to be done out here. And so we have it set up now too. So it's like, I'm an older person, I'm 71. And so there's certain things I can't do, but there are many things that I can do. And so we've got it set up and, and they teach you, they train you, they work with you. You always have somebody that knows what they're doing more than you do, even that you can turn to for help. So, but I absolutely, I just love it. I guess that's what I wish I would know. And I also I do education as well, quite a bit of education out on the walkway, talking with the guests that come. And that's enjoyable too, just meeting people from all over. And they all have something in common, which is that we all love an animal. We want them to have capitalized.
Yeah, I didn't really preface that. Sorry. So our volunteering program is two different departments. It's being what we call animal care, which is what she's doing, what these guys are doing right now. And then there's being on the walkway, which we call that education. So that's basically just talking, working with guests, and being present with them. And again, kind of like being animal ambassadors and answering questions, making sure everyone's behaving themselves, of course, as well. But our walkway is 1.5 miles to end and back, so 3 miles round trip. So a lot of space for volunteers to reach out and engage with guests. Before we move on, Mr. Ray, you said a couple weeks you've been with us. Yeah. Yeah. Was that any input? How you feeling, or like, how's it going so far?
It's been going great. I still don't have the knowledge for the walkway, so I'm still a little insecure about my animal knowledge, but I just really love it here. I manage a restaurant full time, so the difference between the staff there and the labor of love and the people that work there is just amazing. It's all hardworking older people that I've met so far that have just got a passion for it. They work harder than my 20-year-old restaurant staff. It's all labor of love. It's great energy here. I really enjoy it.
We have younger people. I mean, one of the things I interrupt again, but
Go, no,
that
talk
I
away.
love is the fact that I'm not just around 70-year-olds all the time. I've worked 16-year-olds out here before. And we're super awesome and so smart and so we from 16 and up, so we just have a really wide diversity for that. We're like a big family out here. Honestly. So obviously you're a younger person, so but anyway, but with teenagers before, absolutely wonderful job.
Oh yeah.
And I think on the walkway especially, I love working with teenagers.
Now, and we do have an internship opening up I got my brain is working faster than I mounted. We do have an internship program for you guys know college credit. That is let's kind of do summer ones if you want to. You can apply for that on our website. Same process. The volunteer coordinator works with these guys. Works with them with our internship program. I want to ask you if what this afternoon looks like as well, like what a full day animal care really looks like.
Well, kind of a wrong person on that a little bit, because I usually have to be in and 70 and so issues and stuff like that. But have you done a full day before? Okay.
I've only been doing half days as well.
All right.
I'm switching it up. I'm doing half here, taking a little lunch break, and then I'm going to do education for the
But I have done afternoons in here before, so we'll talk about that a little bit. And so it could be similar. You could be doing some sorting and all of that. I know one of the things that that they will do is they may get the cleanup kind of in the day, cleaning up, the workstation, and then there might be some sweeping or that. So
Sure. I was gonna say too, so there's two different departments in volunteering, and the youngest is 16 years old. That's for education. I believe we require 18 for animal care because you're around a lot more equipment. There's a lot more stuff going on with it. But yeah, there's some driving involved too. If you feel comfortable doing that, just have a driver's license just in case. I didn't get.
you're old enough to do the driving out here and all, you might get to drive a bear feeding truck into the bear habitats. And so then you'll have an animal care person that's riding along on the back. So you gotta be a good driver, careful, right? And then they're back there with all of the big barrels like this, and you're driving from food area to food area so they can so that's really cool. Driving a dump truck in because we also sometimes clean up extra food that the bears haven't eaten. The caretakers will be doing that, and so you might be following behind a bobcat and you're driving a big dump truck, and then they're scooping it up, and it's so fun. It's so fun. And they're scooping it up and then going into your dump truck with that. Water, that's another driving water. The suck truck is the one that sucks out the
Sucker
bad
truck, yeah.
water. Yeah, sucker truck. So and
It's a good truck, though.
so,
It's a good
yeah,
truck.
it is.
Yeah.
It is. And so the volunteers might be driving that one, which is sucking out the
Cold
cold
water.
water. And then a caretaker would be driving a big truck with all that nice, clean, fresh water. So that's their other thing. It's just, there's lots of different kinds of work that needs to be done out here. So
Every day's different.
it is.
For sure. Volunteering
day's
staff,
different.
every day's different.
Yeah.
We have a keeper over here that agreed to, we'll talk to her a little bit if that's okay. We'll swing around.
Yeah.
It took up so much of your time, guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you guys so much.
Love y'all.
We're glad you're here. Thank you.
So when we don't require any kind of previous schooling or that to volunteer, and honestly, when it comes to working here, it's really important for you guys to know. Marcia actually does have, name's Marcia, she does have a little bit of vet tech experience, but we don't require that. So more often than not, when people ask about how do I get a job at the sanctuary, let's say you're trying to apply here, we honestly, if you want to be an animal keeper, an animal caretaker, the main thing we tell folks is honestly, there's not a lot of college classes that teach what we do. It's internships and volunteering. That's kind of why I was pushing on that a little bit, is because getting in there and doing this kind of work, that's going to tell you how hard it is and how intense it could be. And you might absolutely love it and just have no issue with it whatsoever. It could be very tough on you in different ways. So it's really good to have that kind of physical experience ready to go and in your back pocket. So you don't want to do all this time and have this image in your head and then get there and realize it's not what you wanted. So, but whenever we bring over Miss Marcia here. This is Marcia Bernal. It's one of our med staff. And
Director of Animal Care.
co-director of animal care. And Marcia, we'll talk about your history a little bit as well, but kind of going back to what we were saying earlier, Most folks, they get hired here right off the bat, don't start animal care. They might start somewhere else. And Marcia started 5 years ago, 4 years, 5 years ago with this guy in the Welcome Center, and we drove each other crazy working together. And now she here is in the big leagues. So you want to talk about your history and how you got to the sanctuary and what you do now?
So I was a vet tech for 15 years. And so I brought that experience to the table. And, you know, along with being a vet tech, you also have to have good customer service. You're not just dealing with pets, you're dealing with their owners as well. So that's how it started in the Welcome Center, working as, you know, customer service. And then I started working here in the CNC, which is processing 80 to 100,000 pounds of food a week for these animals. And then moving to our medical staff, and then just now co-director of animal care. So I manage a zone of animals, mix of bears, tigers, lions, I got everything.
You got what we want.
I got a little bit of everything. I have a wonderful Jaguar Montes. He's one of my favorites. My little heart guy.
There's one Jaguar.
Yep, one Jaguar right now. And then I manage 2 keepers who take care of all of our animals. What questions do you guys have?
What's an average? Once you want to chat, what's an average day look like for you? I'm sure every day is different, but
Every day is different. So we can do anything where we are, you know, sedating an animal for routine animal, you know, veterinary care, or doing blood work, or, you know, all these things that are essential to make sure that they're well taken care of, to making sure that all the animals that are under my care are getting their medications daily, to helping keepers feed, fixing fences, you know, whatever needs to be done is kind of what all of us do here. So
and I know that so in a true sanctuary, when they're caring for the animals, you know, our philosophy is we kind of love from afar. So we're not going in, we're not roughhousing or developing contact with that in that way. So it's people care, it's being even when we feed, it's except the bears a little bit different, but we often feed over the fence. People often talked about over the fence. So we really kind of say that we want them to have as wild of a life as possible. That's our entire philosophy. So again, that's kind of a mindset. Maybe you see other facilities, maybe there's something. We're pretty hands off. We're pretty much distant. Our habitats are here 5 to 25 acres. Which are huge. So and that can also be on the other side. I know I've done a lot of it before, and heard Marsha calling out for her babies to come over and their cats. So maybe they come, maybe they don't. Marsha's trying again a little bit later. So I would just say Manches, of course you love all of them evenly, but would you say Manches is a special place for you?
he's got a special place to me. He's a very special boy. He's just got a great personality, and you know, he wants to run alongside the 4-wheeler and play in his jungle gym. And I like it because he can just do what he wants to do, and it's on his schedule. I mean, it's on all of their schedules, but more so him than me.
What's your favorite part of your job?
I think everything.
All
is-
encompassing, yeah.
It's all encompassing, but the most rewarding part is once we get a rescued animal and then get them through their rehabilitation process. Getting goosebumps thinking about it. Getting them through that rehabilitation process and then actually getting them out into a habitat and seeing them run for the first time that they probably never gotten. Sorry.
Happens all of them.
Yeah, seeing them run for the first time when they've probably never been able to have the space to do that
Yeah.
is very special.
Oh, I love that. I could tell that you have a passion for it and you're good at passion for it, right? Yeah.
I mean, we spend more time with these kids than we do with our own animals at home and our spouses and everything like that. So they hold a very special place.
I love that. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah, absolutely. Have a great day, guys.
Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I guess we haven't really talked about. We come over here, it's a little loud. Sorry. I know. I didn't want to interrupt what they're doing, but yeah, we gotta keep going. You know, sanctuary. First, we mentioned rescue animals, but you go rescue. What do you mean? These animals are coming from the full gambit. So apartments, garages, backyards, basements, horse trailers, gas stations, shopping malls. I don't know if you guys have heard of Tiger King. It's pretty infamous. We rescued almost 150 animals from different people in Tiger King. There's different people on that show, not just the main guy too, but a few different people. Those animals are here, but we've been rescuing since 1980. Our executive director, Pat Craig, is also our founder. Rescued the very first animal when he was 19 years old. I imagine not a whole lot older than you guys. I don't know about you guys, but I certainly wasn't doing anything that beautiful and amazing when I was 19 years old. So, but in Boulder, Colorado, we rescued the very first animal we rescued was the Jaguar. We mentioned Manches earlier. It wasn't him. Another Jaguar named Freckles, who's going to be 24, which is pretty amazing. Great age for a cat. Boulder, Colorado, ironically, Lyons, Colorado, not just because of the name. but then we've been here in Keenesburg for about 30 years now. We do have another property down in southeast Colorado for carnivores. It's almost 10,000 acres. Our facility fits in there about 10 times. It's called a Wild Animal Refuge, and habitats down there range up to 250 acres. So, and there are staff that live on site down there. So this is a huge operation. I actually have one of the gentlemen that works in here. He's actually about 2 years outside of high school. I'm gonna see if he'll come in and talk to us real quick. I'm gonna run over there. All right, so this is Zach. Zach is actually one of our 3 core staff members that works in this building. Zach graduated from high school about 2.5 years ago. You've been with us about a year. Yeah, almost a year. Yeah, almost. Another unlucky or lucky chump that started with me in the Welcome Center, basically. And then we got you out here. So you want to talk a little bit about your journey to coming into the sanctuary and from high school to here? These are all high school kids.
I mean, so all I did was, I saw it here because I've been out here since I was a kid. So I wanted to try and see how it was. I started off in the snack bar. I was there for about a month or 2 and then made my way to the Welcome Center that's where I met Austin. Again, unlucky or lucky, we don't know. But sorry. Then a couple months later, then got transferred over to the CNC, which is where we're at now.
And what's an average day look like? If you guys are, this is really the part of animal care. I mean, there's like valves and everything, like the blood comes back into the sanctuary. All the food, every single morsel starts here. So what is the average day, which is always different, but what does the average core stuff look like for you?
Well, luckily today is actually one of our busier days usually. On Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays, usually those are our busiest days. That's when we get like deliveries most of the time is mainly during the week. And you'll see everything from starting off our day 7:30. We're getting volunteers already. Then we're also, after that's done, make sure bleach baths, little things like that as well. And then eventually goes on to pre-sorting. That's really where it first all starts off. Is that pre-sorting? Just making sure, double checking all the meat, make sure it's good for the class to sort through. Sure. Then we go sort through that. Depending on how many volunteers that we have or don't have that day, we'll either sort it or we'll have the volunteers also help us sort it. But pretty much every day is always different. Sorting is the biggest thing. Really where it all starts is with sorting, and then come out here, dishes, we have our trash runs that we make, everything, it all adds up.
And I always call our animal care staff, like Marsha and like Zach, champions of humanity, because the important thing for you guys to learn to know at home, if you want to work with this kind of field, is it's kind of, you hear about the Open Postal Service, rain, sleet, or shine. It's kind of the same thing. So no matter what the weather is, the animals gotta get fed. They gotta get the medications. We have a lot of geriatric or older kiddos out there, so they gotta get the medications. They've gotta get their food. So holidays, Christmases, Thanksgivings, it's happening here for all of that. If it's -20 out because of wind chill, these guys still have to go in the freezers and get stuff. So there's a whole other aspect to think about. That's a lot of tough work. Of course, we layer up quite a bit out here. We have to. Today's not too bad. We had a nice foggy, freezing morning, and then now it's gonna be like 60 degrees and windy. So out here on the plains, weather changes pretty quickly. I think Zach has to run. They're up there. They got a shipment. But thank you, man. It's a great time. You guys are busy, but yeah. So moral of his story is he knew about the sanctuary and he went for it. It's pretty cool.
That easy, huh?
Yeah. If you guys want to go from here, I think I've probably got everything. Yes. Cool. So we'll ride back. And then you come with me. We're gonna do it on the road. Might see a couple animals along the way. I can't really stop. We're gonna do a lot of ground level stuff. We'll try to see if we can see a couple as we pass by them. And then I'll go out that gate. And I'll just keep yapping her ear off. Up the step here. If you guys don't mind doing that, reach back. Now we're gonna head back to our welcome center. We're on the other end of the sanctuary. We're on the oldest end of the sanctuary, actually. we're gonna head to our newest end of the sanctuary. That's where my office is. This is a little bit of just sanitizing. Just doing it. We have animal care vehicles. We have quite a few of them. Watch the step, we'll a little dip here. These big old box trucks over here. This is over Walmart trucks, as we call them. They don't have labels on them, you know, but and I can see on the right. See, that's the walkway. It's actually where it turns right over here. But yeah, it's a 1.5 miles and ended that. And we extended the walkway. It used to be a mile long. We extended the walkway half a mile in 2016 to connect to our new welcome center we're going to see in a minute. We set a world record at the time for world's longest pedestrian footbridge. And Keenesburg came out, measured it, and everything, which is pretty cool.
Oh, wow.
I think they changed the name of it. It's like it's got different vernacular now, but yeah, we'll hop in my car here, and then I'll let you guys go first and go out the same way. Hopefully, we won't have any issues with the gates. If so, then I'll run out and trip it. But yeah, a little bit of adventure, a little off-road style. Look at the door for you, but so make sure there's nothing in here in your way. Oh, you know. Good. Go ahead. Very exciting sanctuary vehicle here. Okay, going out right there through that mud, a little off road. So whenever we get a lot of snow out here and then it melts, of course. It can cause quite a bit of mud and a little bit of lakes out here. And here come a man and she's going for it. Let them go first. Or they're thinking, I think they want me to go first. Oh, there they go. Awesome. Thanks for hanging in there, guys. We'll be at the other end in just a minute. There she goes. Oh, she's doing it. She's doing the off-road. Look at her go. Very, it's not too bad. You go slow. It's not too bad. My turn. These old Ford commercials that ran when I was a kid. An old Bob Seger song. There'd be this truck that'd go through the mud and you go like a rock. I always think about that. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. I always think about that every time I go through a mud. What's with the Subaru, so it's not very exciting. Oh, so you want to hang on the right-hand side there? Can't go. We're passing by a wolf habitat. There is a black wolf in there named Moon. She's hard to spot sometimes.
And there's the walkway.
There's the walkway, and then there's two wolves right there. They're sleeping in the shade. That's Jacob and Zola. They're cuties. Jacob was basically, long story short, he was a pet in Louisiana, outside New Orleans. And then coming up here, these are also our kiddos here. These are llamas. There's a cow. They're all rescues.
So llamas and cows can hang out together.
Oh yeah, and emu. They all hang out together. I call them kind of the hodgepodge crew because they think they all work together, but they do. This is our clinic right over here. So Marcia, who you met earlier, she goes through there quite a bit. I heard the gate may not be responsive, so that could be interesting. Hopefully it is. If not, I could go trip it. Oh, good. A little worried about that. That's a relief. So it's automatic gates for our staff and volunteers to get in. And I'm going to pull through here and let these guys go ahead, go back to the welcome center, and I'll wait for the gate to close. It'll be just a minute for us, but while we're waiting, I guess I can kind of, okay. There she goes. Bye-bye, we'll see you in a minute. We'll wait for that gate behind us to fully shut, so no confused looky-loo might come in the back way here. So in case you guys are wondering, I went to college for theater and film. So I did a lot of that in high school as well. I tried not doing that, to be honest with you. And my folks were like, I don't know. So I tried not doing that too much, but then I tried other things and I just wasn't as happy. So I went for it in college and I graduated from Metro State University with a theater degree and some film stuff. And I had some wonderful experiences. I was a professional improver at Madcap Theater, if you guys ever heard of that one. But I did a lot through Kaiser Permanente's educational theater program. It was actually an internship that Metro had. And I just had great experiences, but I was really actually really about this place. And I visited for the first time after graduating college in 2014. Well, it's been 10 years, which is crazy. and I visited here for the first time, and I was blown away. I came from an animal rescue background. My folks have had dog rescue. It's my dog. That's weird. My folks have had dog rescue for most of my life, so I grew up in that world. And I was still able to do some theater stuff, but I wanted a passion-driven life. And the way I look at it, and I'm not trying to talk about myself so much, but to fill this gap here, is I actually saw all the training that I had in theater and talking to people and storytelling. I use that every single day out here. All of our animals have stories. I'm very, very passionate about the educational side of what we do. I don't know if you can kind of see on the right-hand side, a little bit broader view of the sanctuary. That's called the Bolivian Lion House. It's a rehabilitation area for lions coming in. But yeah, so we have about 800 acres that has habitats on them. They're dumping some trash in our dumpsters over there. That's actually some of the CNC staff there we were just talking to. And then there's not much there, so let's speed up. So yeah, and I kind of what Zach was talking about in 2015, I basically applied the sanctuary, and I was ready. My contract was up with the acting stuff, and I didn't want to renew it. I loved it, but I was ready for a change, and I reached out and they said, yeah, that was positioned in the Welcome Center, and I didn't want. I knew I was more of a people person than what we saw kind of stuff. Because that was what my training was in. So I really, really enjoy working and talking with people. I'm our main tour guide here at the sanctuary. So someone books a special guided tour. We go on the walkway and talk for about 2.5 hours. I do presentations at the same remotely or Rotary Club. Public in 2001. So Pat went almost over 20 years not being open to the public. So the main reason why we did was for education. It's very expensive for a nonprofit to open to the public. There's so many things you have to factor in. There's insurance, there's the staff to help them. There's the plumbing, there's the restroom, because you have to have that, the amenities, right? And then there's food, and there's the parking lot, and the paving, and the operations to fix something if the bathroom breaks. So there's so many expenses, and the bigger your entrance is, or the more you're allowed space you have, the more expensive it gets. So our walkway doesn't even cover the full sanctuary, but it covers the biggest chunk of it. And it's kind of crazy to think about when people visited when Pat first opened to the public, sanctuary opened, the walkway went like 100 yards. That was about it. Our walkway has always been above the animals. We think that's much more comfortable for them, that we are elevated 30 feet above them for their comfort. So much different. I'm going to get us. We are at the Welcome Center. I'm actually going to sneak us around, get us a little closer in. I always park far away so we can make room for staff or guests coming in. But here's the front of the Welcome Center. So if you come in, this is where you start. And we are open to the public, guys, 9 a.m. to sunset, 7 days a week. Except for, I think, 4th of July, Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's Day. I'm going to sneak in this little sneaky spot over here. And then we'll run in and say hi to a few of our friends inside. And yeah, get you another idea of the people side of working as a sanctuary. I'll show you that. All right, watch your step, you. Any questions coming in I can help answer or anything?
Not right at the moment.
That's okay. We'll have to still be ice melt down here. Well, this part of the bus time next year. So again, guys, this building's it's newer in the grand scheme of our history. So it was done in 2016. It's about as big as a football field. Kind of looks like a big airplane hangar. Inside, we have a little cafe. We have a gift shop. We have an ice cream shop. It's pretty cool. This is what you step there. This is where I worked for about 6 years. Our amazing statues are here too. These are from Africa.
Wow.
I believe those statues are actually made of recycled flip-flop material. It's pretty crazy too. So yeah. And Julia here at the Welcome Center, she actually just got here out of college as well. Hi. How's it going, guys? We're talking to just a couple of high school classes here.
Awesome.
I'm gonna put you on the spot. That's okay.
Okay, sounds good.
Too bad, no choice. Season. So you just graduated, right?
Yeah, I just graduated from CSU with my degree in wildlife biology.
That's awesome. So I
Yeah.
thought it'd be great to talk to you. You
absolutely.
want to talk a little bit about your experience, what you did in college, and kind of how you got to here and your end goal here? You've been here 3 months.
Yeah,
give or take?
yeah. I started here in January. When I was at CSU, we did a lot of hands-on work with wildlife. We learned a lot about like wild populations and also a lot about conservation. So there were a lot of different classes that we could do, more hands-on learning, or just more like conceptual about like animal biology and anatomy. So yeah, it was really fun. I really enjoyed my time there.
How'd you hear about us?
Yeah, I mean, the Wild Animal Sanctuary is obviously the oldest and largest carnivore sanctuary in the world. So it's pretty hard to not hear about it when you're immersed in the wildlife world. But yeah, so I heard about it a lot through like my classes. A lot of grad students like to do their research here too, or like just like hear about it or visit it. So yeah, it's a really cool place to be.
And so you've been up here with the Welcome Center. So
Mhm.
what these guys do is they work with guests coming in
Yeah.
literally every single day. They're the front line. They're literally the face of the sanctuary in some ways. So it's a very important job because they represent everything. Remember, everyone they're talking to is a donor. They're a supporter. They're literally how we can exist. So this every role, even if it's the people side, I know people want kind of the animal side, but the people side is very important as well because literally none of it's possible without donations. It's entirely how we're funded. So now you've been working up here for about 3 months.
Yeah.
What do you have an end goal you like to happen at the sanctuary? I know we talked a little bit about that, but
Yeah.
yeah, you want to share?
Yeah,
your side?
absolutely. So the here at the Wild Animal Sanctuary, we have a lot of different opportunities for staff. So you can work in the Carnivore Nutrition Center, which is where you're just like preparing the food for the animals.
Came from there.
Yeah,
Yep, yep.
perfect. Awesome. Yeah. And then you can also go to animal care, which is just basically like taking care of the animals, feeding them, and, ensuring that medicine is being given to them appropriately. And like we also have med staff, which is like the veterinarians and those who actually work hands-on with the animals, administering medications and vaccines and stuff like that. So yeah, I have experience with vet med. I've experience with hands-on animal experience and wildlife rehabilitation. So I'd love to work in animal care. That's kind of my end goal here. But yeah, so there's a lot of different opportunities, but yeah.
That kind of goes back to what we were talking about earlier, is that we don't often start with somebody right in animal care. With this whole thing is, this whole place is kind of a large community. It's almost like a giant village, and it really helps to know the ins and outs of it and what to expect when you're here, so that and like it known you want to do animal care. We have staff that volunteer on the side. They have that great experience, and then when that time comes, we can say, "Hey, this is an opening. What do you think? Do you want to move to animal care?" So, like Zach, we talked to him a little bit ago. He was up here, so they approached him. He said, "Yeah, that'd be awesome." And I know this video is kind of loud while we're trying, so we'll move away from it. But thank you so much.
Yes.
Appreciate
Thank
you.
you guys. Have fun.
So anyone that comes to the sanctuary, they start by watching the orientation video. It's about 12 minutes long. Again, education is gigantically important to us. Just explaining where animals are coming from. It's called the captive wildlife crisis. Again, all of our animals were born and raised in captivity, so they cannot go back to the wild. Move around here. I might text my friend Courtney, our volunteer coordinator, because I know she has experience you guys want to hear as well. It's gonna be a very quiet space we're gonna go into real quick. I'm Miss Linda. Hey, everyone. Put you on the spot. We're talking to some awesome high schoolers that interested in this kind of career growth. We're talking now, this part of the tour, which we're doing a live stream, is all the people side of it. And you've been here 3 years, almost 3 years. If you want to talk about how you got to the sanctuary and kind of what your role is now.
Well, I had been coming to the sanctuary for many years. It was a different look altogether. I was laid off in the pandemic. And I just
Or not here.
not from
Okay,
here.
I was gonna say. Start so far. Okay.
And I put my application in, and I was very blessed to be able to come out here and work. This is an amazing place. You have the best of the animal care here. It's not an easy job for them, but this is an amazing place.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna ask, did you have any prior experience in this line of work before applying?
In gift shop, I have done some retail, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I don't know if we said that we're in gift shop right now, so
Yes.
this is all our stuff that we yeah. And another thing to think about with this big amazing building is that because we had this very small welcome center on the other end of the sanctuary, and it served our needs for a long time, but as stuff grew and people were coming out and they wanted to support, we need to be able to spread out a little bit. So this building kind of came into focus. We had snack bars along the walkway. We want to be able to kind of give a next level of service to guests and donors who are coming out. So the actual idea is the cafe, the snack bar, the gift shop, these things actually fund this building, if that makes sense. So we're not pulling from animal care donations to do this. This building kind of funds itself, if that makes sense. So, and then as you kind of saw, I think it's a similar fabric. It's above us, kind of like DIA. It's called ClearSpan, but it has a 14-year lifespan. We actually use it on some animal, that Bolivian lion house we mentioned earlier, something that lets sunlight in but protects from the elements. So Linda's kind of our head honcho here in the gift shop, which is huge. A lot of people also will donate merch, different from paintings or collections they have. That all goes back to the animals, and way we price everything, make sure that the sanctuary is supported as well. So yeah, this is a very, it's kind of quiet because during the week it's kind of quiet, but this place can get pretty booming sometimes. And she's got lots of people in here, which is pretty cool. So thanks for letting us come in and bug you.
Absolutely. Anytime. Welcome.
We're gonna head back outside. I'm gonna talk to our volunteer coordinator. I just texted her. I'm gonna see if we can find her real quick. But thank you.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much. Enjoy.
You're answering.
Texting Courtney to meet us. We gotta open, yeah, a little nice house to let air through opening our door. Okay. So we have our awesome cafe. It's kind of cool 'cause out here, I don't call it middle of nowhere, but we don't have a lot of opportunities for dining in this part of these cities. So we actually have a lot of people that come from around these couple cities. We're kind of between Hudson and Keenesburg. It's Keenesburg, but they basically pick up food and take it to go, which is pretty cool. But we don't require people having to visit the sanctuary to come eat here. You said right now? I was like, yeah. But she agreed to it earlier, so I asked if I had that in there. So yeah, so we have a full staff, kitchen staff back there. It's a couple guys, but they can cook everything. It's kind of like a Chili's kind of menu and price. It's very affordable. We have awesome pizza. We have an ice cream shop, and it's the old school kind. So like where you can actually scoop it out. And it's local. The doors are loud. Sorry.
Ice cream.
But yeah, so we have actually a couple staff members on lunch. They're hanging out in there because it's warm. We can also do events in here. So any of you guys are curious about event planning, that works with our development team, which are in the office across the way. And that's a huge part. You have people that want to donate, do monthly stuff, or they want to put us in their wills or estates, or they want to just give a huge chunk of change or any chunk of change. Amount of donations, it's insane about the variety. I mean, you can literally be that whole, you hear that saying of anything helps. That's absolutely true. The bulk of our donations are under $100 when you come in. So it's absolutely massive. And we welcome anything. Hi, Court.
Hi, guys.
So this is Courtney, your volunteer coordinator. Thanks for letting us introduce you.
Oh, yeah.
So Courtney started with us almost a year ago, and I'm again lucky or unlucky that the schmuck she spent a lot of time with. She got in here.
Yeah.
Now we're office mates. Sorry. But you want to talk a little bit about your history and how, because you have a pretty cool background as well, where you came from, and then coming to Colorado, and how you got to this part.
Yeah, definitely. So I grew up in Michigan. I went to Central Michigan University to pursue a degree in biology and natural resources. While I was there, I participated in a variety of different animal experiences, ranging from like an animal rescue alternative break to volunteering at nearby zoos in the area. I actually was at the Detroit Zoo in the education department for about 7 years before moving up here. And then I just so happened to visit the sanctuary a couple of times and realize how awesome of a place this was. Actually, when I came here for the first time, I remember flipping through the tour guide and seeing news stories from the bears that they rescued from the Detroit Zoo. So I feel like my life has come full circle. But volunteering here, I don't know if you talked a little bit about volunteering here already.
Yeah, we met Dee and
Cool.
say what you want. Yeah,
Yeah, that's great. But basically, as the volunteer coordinator here, I kind of coordinate the different volunteers. We absolutely run off of our dedicated volunteers, being a nonprofit organization. And so while they're here, they participate in a variety of tasks, everything from educating the public up on our elevated walkway, to helping out at our events that we host throughout different times of the year, to helping out in animal care at the CNC, which I'm sure that you saw today. So.
If students are interested in volunteering, how do they reach out?
Yeah, so right on our website, wildanimalsanctuary.org, there's a tab for ways to help and then a tab for interested in volunteering. So you'll have all of the information there as well as my direct contact. So students can email me and I'll forward over all of the information as well as the direct application to apply.
Perfect. Thank
Yeah, no problem.
And I said it earlier, make sure I got it right, 16 communication, 18 years old for animal care. Especially that wrong.
Nope, 16 years old for both of them.
Across the board.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, there you
All
go.
right, cool.
Probably do a little bit, not as more intense stuff in terms of animal care. maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Definitely.
So get
And
more seasoned,
for our
but-
internships, you have to be 18 years old.
okay,
So,
gotcha.
so,
Thank you,
yep,
thank you.
no problem.
Yeah, and we do a lot of on-site events as well. So we have an annual 5K, 10K that comes in June. Courtney actually started like 2 seconds before that last year and knocked it out of the park. But we have different events that we do heading into our summer season. The volunteers are part of that as well. So and she works directly with them. I mean, of course, we do have for nonprofit, we have I think about 90-ish staff members, but about 130 volunteers, give or take. Did you say that number? Say a different number. Okay. She said a different number. That would have been embarrassing. So it takes literally every single person you've met today. It literally takes every single person. You met 2 volunteers, but I mean, there's so many people here. It's kind of tip of the iceberg, really. But from working with people to working to cutting up all that meat, getting it ready to go, to inspecting the meat, to driving to pick it up, to working in the gift shop, it's a huge like village out here. It's a nonprofit, so a lot of us do a lot of good stuff.
And on top of that, we now have 4 facilities. So
Yeah.
even some of our volunteers here go down to our refuge, which is 10 times the size of this facility. And that property, I don't know if Austin talked about it earlier, but it's only a 10th of developed habitats. So to just be down there and help out the staff is amazing. So we're always looking for volunteers that are willing to go down to that facility as well.
We have a small sanctuary in Texas that needed some help running. So we kind of took them under our wing and kind of took them in as our own, basically. Call that Wild Animal Sanctuary, Texas. It's in Boyd, Texas. And then a brand new facility, and this is literally very, very new, is the Wild Horse Refuge. That's in Craig, Colorado. So about 4.5 hours northwest of us. That's wild Mustangs that ended up by the BLM and that sort of stuff. So that's very, very new. I don't think there's even horses on it just yet. But yes, she's right. But there are 4 facilities. So it's a massive mission here.
What's one for both of you? What's one of the most impactful stories that you have that like it's gonna go with you for the rest of your life? Working here, seeing all the wildlife and helping and serving for you guys. What's one of your stories?
Well, I know that you're probably asking about animals, but as a volunteer coordinator, I get to work with volunteers who have been here as long as 18 years. So that is very rewarding. Even talking about it right now gives me chills. It's really cool to be able to talk to people who have been here since the beginning and are able to see our transformation over time. Even Austin saying we just acquired this 4th facility within the last couple of months. It's awesome that we're all going to be here to be able to see that transformation because ultimately we're all here for the animals. So.
It's a great point. Yeah. So it's like history always happening out here. And if you're going to do a personal one, I'll do an animal one. Almost a year to the day today, we rescued 22 Asiatic black bears from South Korea that were part of a bear bile farm. It's about as rough as you can imagine. There's a video about it. If you guys want to share, we have a really nice video, almost like a small documentary. It's about 10 minutes. Basically, they were used to harvest their bile. So they were hooked up to cages that were not much bigger than them. And then they had an IV and they were just attached to their gallbladder and just pulling their bile. That was their whole existence. It got outlawed in South Korea, but unfortunately the animals had to live in these basically like iron cubes with rusting rebar on their feet and all sides. So they're walking on bar that are edged. And so their feet were cracked. They had never been on soft ground or on grass or on earth or anything before. 22 of them. There's others out there, but we were able to rescue with the help of KAWA, the Korean Animal Welfare Association, get those 22 and get that whole place shut down. And those guys are at the refuge and they're on a forested habitat, that 250 acre habitat we talked about. And I did happen to be present when they touched grass for the first time. It's really hard to wrap your brain around that. Bears live up to 40 years, and these bears weren't quite that old. I mean, sometimes bears would walk, and then they'd spin. And they'd walk a few feet because that was the space they had in their cage in their previous life. So it was wired in their brain. This is my life. So they'd walk, they have literally 200 plus acres in front of them. Their brains were still going, this feels good, but it was a wiring thing to turn. Now they're doing amazing, and I've driven in that habitat since, and you couldn't even. They're pretty hard to spot now because they love to hide, and they're doing what bears are supposed to be doing. Supposed to be eating that kind of food, be touching grass, be with other bears, be under the sky. They're in a nightmarish facility. So that's just one of literally thousands of animals. One rescue out of probably, I would say, hundreds, if not thousands of rescues over 43 years. So yeah, so that's probably sort of I share on the side. Yeah.
Thanks for making us all cry.
I'm sorry. That's the thing is that, when people visit, and every once in a while they see an animal that might pace a little bit. Sometimes when we rescue an animal, they're walking that same 10 feet that they had in previous life. So they were rescued from a shopping mall. They might be walking in that same space. They have, and it's not so much that they feel stressed anymore. It's just like, this is what I do. It's like biting your nails. Either you go, oh, someone calls you out, you don't know you're doing it. It's the same kind of thing. It's wired in. So what we do is time and opportunity from donations, from volunteers, to staff, just give them the time and opportunity for the animals to finally be able to walk 11 feet, or walk 15 feet, then walk 10 acres, So we haven't talked a lot about the animal side of it, but that's everything you see here. That's why we're here. That's the end result, is taking care of them, making sure that they don't feel any of it. They can just retire. They can just be a lion. They can just be a tiger. They can just be a bear and not worry about anything else. So that's our job. They don't have to worry about it anymore. So yeah. Sanctuary is a very different mindset than the zoo or some other places. It's different, but there's maybe 20 really strong, reputable sanctuaries probably in the country. But this is, we're biased, but I think this is a pretty special place for carnivores. Yeah.
What would be the difference in regards to zoo and what is the separation and beauty of the zoo versus the sanctuary?
Yeah, you're good.
So, we don't bash zoos. We understand
Right.
It's not that kind of thing, but it is apples and oranges, right? So I had a friend of mine for years. He was a dietitian at the zoo. He was a sweetheart. He came out here, he got teary-eyed when he saw the amount of space. A lot of zoos are older infrastructures. They don't really have, they can't go out, if that makes sense. I think zoos have come a long way. When Pat first started in 1980, he visited a zoo when he was 18, 19 years old. And it was out east. It wasn't in Denver, but he went to a zoo out east with a friend of his, got a behind the scenes tour, and Pat saw how many animals were tucked back behind the scenes. And he's like, what's going on? Basically, at the time, zoos really wanted babies. They wanted people, not every zoo, but some, come see babies, come see the babies. And then they get to be just a bit older, they go back behind the scenes. Sometimes euthanized, sometimes traded off. Sometimes a couple zoos were selling the animals to people. And that really got in Pat's head, really ate away at him. He came back home, he had a 20-acre family farm. He said, if I can save one animal, like this says right here, saving one animal may not change the world, but surely for that one animal, the world will change forever. That's kind of our motto. And that was his motto at 19 years old. So, and then again, zoos have come a long way since then. The conservation, they're doing a lot with that. They're doing the educational aspect to it. It's just tough because a lot of zoos name the game is animals on display. And I'm not gonna say all zoos, but that's what they want. That's not what we do. So the animals are free to roam wherever they want in their habitats. And sorry, kids are yelling over there. But so they have the freedom to go wherever they want to in their habitats. Also a sanctuary and a zoo, the difference is we don't want to add to animals that cannot go back to the wild. So there's no selling, trading. We have no breeding. Out here, all males are neutered upon arrival, with the exception of African male lions. Their names are testosterone driven. So to neuter them, they'd lose their manes. So female lions get contraceptive implant in place of that. So no mating, only dating, as we say out here. But yeah. So I mean, there's just no selling or trading or breeding. And the biggest one is we're nonprofit, so we don't have any kind of government aid or any kind of subsidies like that. We might write for a grant or something like that, but otherwise it's just people. That's how we were funded. So there are some differences, or again, we're not going to bash them. It's apples and oranges. And again, conservation work is extremely vital and important. Detroit Zoo does a little bit of rescue work as well. That's just so we rescued from there before. They've contacted us, and so I think stuff's changing. It's just zoos by themselves, their infrastructure is just older, so it's kind of catching up with the times with older materials. If that makes sense. So I think is part of it, but it's moving. It's like all the animal world with Tiger King, especially thinking about that. Stuff's changing slowly but surely. We're getting there. Okay.
Thank you so much for sharing that. I appreciate it. So just to confirm, the difference is that here it's not mating, just dating. That way they have their space, they're free to roam their areas and their habitats. with the help of all the volunteers that you have and the workers and all of that. Is that correct for the sanctuary?
Yeah, we never advertise it as come see them so much more as learn about them, experience them, where they're at, where the rest where they came from. So, and I think most modern zoos do a lot of education aspects. Something you were working with is education aspect of zoos, but yeah, it's ours is taking care of the ones that don't have literally any other option besides being euthanized. So that's our whole goal, is to get them out of that and give them the home they were supposed to have. So again, apartments, garages, backyards, basements, living privately owned roadside zoos. Those are not accredited zoos by any means. So those kind of zoos, yeah, we're not. That's totally different. But you want to add? I mean, you work in the zoo. You want to add to?
No, I mean, I think that Austin touched on a bunch of like awesome main differences between zoos and sanctuaries. The only other thing would add is, like he was kind of saying, zoos are built within communities, and so they're not really able to expand. Whereas one of the awesome things about the sanctuary is our large acreage. At the refuge, it's close to 10,000 acres, and not landlocked. You could potentially purchase more acreage there to rescue these animals. And just like once they come here, they're here for life. They're not going anywhere else. So.
Yeah. Forever.
Yeah.
As well as possible. For free room service, work for them, maid service, healthcare, and free maid service. Those three for the rest of their days. So that's kind of the idea. Again, they don't have to worry about it. But yes, we all have operations. They're so busy, so we're waiting to catch them. But literally, the people who build everything, who help build the habitats, that's also huge. So if someone's interested in pseudo construction work, a little bit of construction work, but also we'll do it for an amazing place and then helping build habitats. There's or if you're really good at Excel spreadsheets and organizing or events, yeah, I mean, our IT stuff, and we have all that here. So we need it. I mean, our development team, we have accounting. I mean, so like literally, but it's so much different. It's like, yes, I work in accounting, but I do it for a sanctuary. And like, yes, I'm in IT, but I help the sanctuary help run. You know what I mean? So it's just some fields are similar out there, but you do it's a little bit more a part of that kind of village mentality out here. We all kind of help pitch in together, and so you have fewer people doing the work of a bigger number, really.
Could you remind everyone where to look if they wanted to volunteer, like the website they should go to?
Yeah, I believe so. Our website's gigantic. On a drop-down menu of ways to help, there's volunteering and internships, which go through this awesome lady right here. And the application is there as well. You have to apply and make sure it's all going to be good. And then volunteering, you get to clear Saturdays, or ideally to work in the you explain that. Sorry, I want to step on your toes.
That's okay. We're open 361 days out of the 365, and we only require 2 full days or 4 half days a month to commit to 16 hours a month. So it's really easy to work around whatever schedule works for you. And yeah, just same thing. Just hop onto the website, ways to help volunteering, and you can email me directly if you have any questions. Again, my name's Courtney, volunteer coordinator.
Coordinator, yeah. Yeah, so we start an orientation with volunteer orientation. You do it, and then you have training with it, and then from there, if you're walking the walk, you're doing animal care. You have a mentor with you. You have help, so we don't just say, "Okay, go do it." We have a lot of training involved before we can let folks ask questions. But yeah, we have volunteers and interns that were once volunteers and interns are now staff. We have staff in our departments that started up front. I started an ice cream shop. Believe it or not, we've had cooks. We've had gift shop and ice cream that all went to animal care, but started in those. This 5 years, animal care. It was important for us to they get kind of lay the land and get that kind of pay your dues. Honestly, just starting here. No, but thanks for coming up, guys. Thank you for watching us. I hope we didn't talk your ears off too much, and we put some stuff on your radar to think about for the future. And come out and see us. It's a very special place. You talk to a ton of passionate people that literally got choked up talking to you in 2 seconds because it's that amazing out here. So, yeah, we hope to see you guys. And if you need anything, and they have our emails, and you can feel free to ask.
Today, I'm here. Everything you guys are doing out here with the and students, check them out. I've got a ton of opportunities for you guys. Thanks for tuning in.